that the National Party used to do, so I'll sit down now.
Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Todd McClay.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the Minister for ceding the floor so that I can speak so early in this debate. Can I say, Mr Speaker, Madam Speaker, in looking at this, here's another piece of legislation that a hard-working coalition of three parties is saying that they are doing because they're hard-working. But if we look a little bit deeper, it was presented to the House on the 27th of June 2017, long before the election, and the 15th of August was sent off to the Foreign Affairs Committee a month before the election. And so it's great to see they continue the work of the last government that was very hard-working and focusing on issues that were important. Now, while this may not be of great importance to everybody in New Zealand, we do need to do our fair share, we need to line up with other nations, and we do need to make sure that our rules, our regulations actually meet the requirements of commitments New Zealand has made internationally. We certainly must take our foreign affairs extremely seriously. And that's why it concerns me so much that New Zealand First must be voting against this. And I think that's just appalling. But the good news for the government is National will be supporting it, so they do have the numbers to get it through. Now, why do I think New Zealand First is voting against it? The reason for that is on the 18th of August, before the election last year, in opposition, Ron Mark, who was not honourable then, he was not honourable back then, got up and he put out a press release that said, New Zealand Customs proves War Dogs Bill unnecessary. He called this legislation the War Dogs Bill. And we go a little bit further. He said in his press release, the National-led government took us down a rabbit hole to regulate non-existent Kiwis trading non-existent arms in some sub-Saharan fantasy. He went on, and he must have been speaking about Willie Jackson when he said this bit, and I quote, the peaceniks in the other parties loved the opportunity to dance around the maypole, sing Kumbaya and bag our bouquet defence industry, but not us.
Who said that?
So Ron Mark, well, the reason we know Ron Mark said it back then was because he wasn't honourable back then, he hadn't got the title, so we could hear him. If he said it today, it would be hard to hear over the din of the helicopters flying in and out of the Wairarapa. But New Zealand First must be voting against it, because a cabinet minister actually ranked second amongst cabinet from that party, said that it was a waste of time and that the government was taking us down a rabbit hole. Well, I would say to Mr Mark, he wasn't honourable back then. If he has changed his mind, he could well be honourable now, but it's really up to him. Madam Speaker, we do support this bill because it is important. The trade in illegal arms around the world is devastating, and it can be devastating. We heard first-hand in the committee of the significant harm that is done. There is no suggestion that there are New Zealanders who are involved in this type of illegal trade, but there is also no suggestion that we shouldn't have appropriate rules and regulations in place to be able to make sure that when we say that, we can back it up and it's correct. The final point I would make in the debate is the committee did take quite some time questioning officials to make sure that we weren't overburdening law-abiding citizens who trade in weapons for recreational use in New Zealand. And we received assurances from them that actually the legitimate trade in firearms, there are many New Zealanders who use firearms for legitimate recreational purposes with appropriate licences and so on, won't be impacted upon this at all. And it was important the committee got that assurance, because it's not everyday Kiwis that this bill focuses on. It is those who could or may in the future be acting illegally. Thank you.
I call Dr Duncan Webb.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's more in sadness than in anger.